Yo, 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 you see it. You see it. Yes, we are live back at the Blue Light District.
I love it. I love it here. I love it. Blue, my favorite color, so I'm happy to be in the blue light district.
District, man, and it's Double M. It's Double M live with Mr. Mike Nice, DJ Mees. Welcome back, guys, to another episode number 79.
79. Think of some linemen.
Yeah,
I can't think of
once
any.
you heard I stopped doing that once we started getting into the 60s. Once we started getting to the 60s, I start remarking what numbers
I tell you,
these players are.
the 80s will bring some good numbers.
Yeah,
though.
because we're gonna getting back to receiver.
Okay, some tight ends and receivers.
Yeah.
Yep. So 80s will bring on some good numbers, but 79, we here. It's Double M.
79, Double M 79. You guys already know how this show works. We talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We have good conversations and we go back and forth. We had a hell of a show last week.
We sure did to end off Women's History Month.
We had if you haven't seen last week's episode, we had Soulful Sheep Pod come through. We had the Girlfriend Guys podcast come through, and the conversation was beautiful.
Oh yeah, absolutely, positively. Great conversations. Like I said, all of Women's History Month, the episodes we had here on Double M, they all led to great shows, great content, great conversations and discussions. And to wrap it all up and end it off with those two podcasts joining us, making a big super show. It was great. It was great.
Super, comparing it to like crossovers
Mm-hmm.
of DC and Marvel coming together for one show. You love to see it. You'll definitely try to get back to it again here on Double M. But we back in the Blue Light District. Shout out to Massive Media for the production as always. Mike Nice, man. We in April. We finally made it to April, first week of April now. How are you feeling?
This year is moving along. 2021 is moving along. And we've said it before. I'll say it again. People had a lot of optimism stepping into 2021, knowing how 2020 was. And 2021 got off to a wild start. But I will say, and I guess I can only speak for me a little bit, but I will say overall, 2021 has brought on a much better feeling in a sense. And I think, overall with the way the world is moving and whatnot, things are opening up slowly but surely. The vaccinations out there, something we'll talk about in this episode. The vaccinations out there and people getting it. Schools have opened back up. There's some states that have opened back up. There's businesses and whatnot open back up. And while it's still questionable about should it be opening up, is it right time or whatnot, the fact that there is somewhat of a sense of some type of normalcy coming back, no matter how you're feeling, it's kind of nice to see knowing how we just lived the last year, all of 2020, knowing how we just lived, to kind of see or hear that there's some kind of normalcy coming back with just how the country is moving with this, pandemic and whatnot going on. It just brings a little bit more optimism for everybody, I feel like.
Yeah, if you look back to where we were last year, exactly in April, it was different times. It was definitely grim. Remember going to the supermarket and just everyone's masked up, everyone's tense. You don't know what's going on. And, fast forward a year later, even though we didn't think it would last this long, there's optimism, as you were saying, Mike. And that's something that, the human race, we always need some type of hope to keep going on. And so we love to see it. Hopefully everyone who's watching, you guys are staying safe, still protecting yourselves no matter what. So we have a great show for you guys tonight. Mike Nice.
Yes, sir.
What is on the playlist?
On the playlist, we're going to kick things off with, a legendary rapper, someone who's been in the game for a long time. I see our EP Sam in the building. Shout out to Sam. What's popping to our EP?
Yes, sir, Sam.
Cutie with a gap. Good to see you per usual. But yes, the playlist. Legendary rapper DMX recently suffered a drug overdose, and I think it was in combination or also played in a part of with a heart attack that he also suffered. And with that, taken to the hospital, I believe he suffered a little bit of brain damage. Um, you know, the situation was just looking bad, and when it initially happened, the reports were looking bad and looking grim, and it just didn't sound good from what happened. Obviously that was several days ago, so there's been some updates with that, but we're definitely gonna talk about that situation, our thoughts and feelings with just DMX has had a long history in battle and some demons he's been dealing with for a long time. So we're definitely going to jump into that for sure as we move through the show. Also, something that we just brought up not too long ago: COVID-19 and these vaccinations that are starting to come out, and they're starting to get accessible to more and more people. No matter your age or your gender, it's starting to get accessible to anybody and everybody. And with the vaccination coming out, like I said before, it's bringing a little bit more optimism with how the world is moving. So we're going to talk about that as well. Also, we spoke about it a few shows ago, but obviously the murder trial of Derek Chauvin is going on. The updates, the news, everything about the trial, surrounding the trial has been out there. So we're definitely going to give an update on what's been going on with that, and definitely share our thoughts and opinions. And obviously 100%, we want to hear how you guys are feeling with things you've possibly been hearing and whatnot. Also, I've been waiting to do this for a while. I've been talking to some people on the side, haven't really gotten too loud about it, haven't really gotten too public about it. But I got a bold statement I need to make about this current Boston Celtics team. And I may receive some hate, I may receive some heat, but I think as a true Celtics fan that I am, this needs to be said. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, that's up to you. We can debate. The comments, the chat is wide open. I'm all for it. But I need to make this bold statement about this current Boston Celtics team. We're also going to talk about, Paul Pierce and, the L that he recently took with his social media antics and, losing his job with ESPN. We're going to dive into that situation for sure. And last but not least, Marv said this, I think when he was making a post: if you're a real OG of the Double M show with myself and Marv, you know about the stars and sorries, something that's been a segment that's been holding down our show for a long period of time. We haven't brought it out because, we've had guests and we've had other segments and other conversations. But I tell you, the return of stars and sorries. We're having a couple of returns here. We had the return to T-Mac. Now we
gotta bring back the old traditions.
Now we having the return to stars and sorries, but we mix in a couple new things.
Come on,
some new things along the ride in season 3 here. So that's on the playlist. We got a lot to talk about. Once again, we definitely want to hear from everybody tuned in. If you're in the chat, you're in the comments, please feel free at any time join in on the conversation. Me's Mike, this is Double M Live. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tune in right now, because Double M is live.
Yes, sir. Derek said, long time listener, first time caller. A funny story about that. That's when we was doing Patriots post. It was our first year doing the Patriots post game show.
Yep.
And when we didn't even, I don't even think we did it through YouTube. I think it was through another like Blog Talk Radio, something like that, and you could actually call in.
Oh we had the phone lines.
We had phone lines, and people could actually call in, and it was dope. I missed it, but we had some long-winded guests. People talk for hours. We had to learn. You know how you listen to radio, you listen to Federal Maz and stuff. They cut people off in a second. Yeah, cool.
Click. Thanks for calling.
We didn't know how to do that.
Wish we did it sometimes.
We was okay, yeah, all right, yeah. And then Derek, that's our brother from a long time. He calls in. We know his voice. He's like, yeah, long time listener. Our first show. Long time listener, first time caller, tripped us up bad. But yo, shout out to everyone in the comments. We see you, Enku. We see you, Devin. This is Double M. Let's start it off with obviously some sad news. DMX. This is one thing I want to say about DMX, because the younger generation. I feel old by saying this because I don't think the younger generation understands how big DMX was and is to a lot of people. Like when you think of Jay-Z at his peak, Lil Wayne at his peak, Biggie at his peak, Pac at his peak, when you think of Drake at his peak, DMX, when he was at his peak, he was just as big as those artists. No question about it. It was at the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. It was Jay-Z and DMX. Like that's how big DMX is and was to people. So I just want to put that out there before we get to talking about what he's suffering through right now. DMX is one of the greats in hip hop, and there's no debate. Right now, Mike mentioned it, suffered a heart attack and overdose. If you're around hip hop, anything, I feel like all my life I've been hearing either DMX got arrested for some type of drug issue or DMX has gone into rehab. And it's been a long battle that he's been going through, and it's sad, man. It's sad to see that right now. The update is that he's still in the hospital, still in a vegetable state, and like all you can really do at this point is just continue to pray for DMX.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, Marv, as big as DMX was, not only music wise, because he's made a lot of great music with him and the Rough Riders. DMX has been on some pretty solid movies.
He's not bad. His acting career,
his acting career is not bad. I mean, yeah, the younger generation will listen to DMX talk now, and they're like, okay, this guy's clearly dealing with, something going on. But DMX has been in some solid movies. I'm trying to remember some of the movies that he's been in, but he had one movie. I feel like it was with Steven Seagal or something. I feel like he was in a movie with Jet Li. I'm drawing a blank on some of these.
It's the movies. You woke up and put on TNT, and you just see DMX. I know exactly what movie you're talking about with Jet Li.
He's in a movie with Jet Li, and I feel like he was in a movie with Steven Seagal, like two big time actors. And DMX held his own. Like you said, he was a pretty solid actor in those movies. So shout out to him. I loved his acting when he was doing it. But I mean, also at the same time with that, over the years, DMX, has either been in and out of prison or checking into rehab. Oh, Belly. How can I forget Belly with DMX and Nas? Another solid movie. Again, DMX, he got a little solid acting resume behind him. But yeah, in and out of rehab or in and out of prison, and it's tough and sad to see because a guy with his popularity, it's wild. And sometimes like we said a little bit, like I said before, someone dealing with some demons. And I recently saw an interview that popped up with DMX. He was a guest on someone's podcast, and he was talking about how at the age of 14, like his mentor, somebody he looked up to big time, gave him a blunt to smoke, and he gave him a blunt to smoke with weed that was laced with crack in it. And he broke down crying. DMX broke down crying, talking about that mentor that gave him a blunt with weed with crack sprinkled in it. And he broke down crying, talking about this is my mentor. How could he do something like that to me? I'm a 14-year-old kid. He's crying, but then after talking about love, he goes, but that's what started the monster inside of me. He said that instant right there is what started the monster inside of him. And the struggles and battles that he's been dealing with, no matter how great his music has been, the albums he's dropped, the movies he's been in internally, from like in DMX's word, from that moment on, he's been having a battle and a monster inside of him. And it's tough because, you fast forward to today, and I believe DMX, I believe he's around 50 years old or is 50 years old or something along those lines. And while he's dealing with those demons inside of him and whatnot, I get that. But also, somebody that famous, that popular, that big, they got a circle around them. They got people around them. And I understand the saying sometimes of, you can't really get help until you help yourself first. The saying goes something like
Mm.
that. You have to help yourself first before you allow anybody else to help you. And I get that. But at the same time, you could have people around you who love and care about you that can really help and influence the decisions you make, the moves you make. Like at the end of the day, yeah, as your own person, you're going to decide to do what you want to do. But you also have people around you, and I'm sure DMX has a family, a circle around him, people he's close to, he confides in and whatnot. I'm not a part of that circle. I don't know the ins and out of his personal life and whatnot, but I'm just part of my mind wanders to like, yo, what are the people around him doing? Or what can I say all these years of him battling in and out, in and out? Like what is going on around him?
That's tough.
What is happening around him? That he's 50 years old and we talking about a guy suffers a drug overdose, knowing that he's been battling all his life, and this is something, it's a constant struggle. Who are the people around him that are, maybe there are people around him and DMX is just, like he said, he has a monster inside him that he just can't break free. But at the same time, are there people around him that's really giving him the proper help and care and security that he needs? I don't know. It's just something that I thought about. I've been thinking about.
Funk Flex had come out and said something pretty similar to what you were saying. Said everyone's so quick to drop a picture of DMX that they were with and everything like that. But were you around him when he was struggling? Are you going to be there for him afterwards? And he was very emotional about this. And when it comes to addiction, like, it's very tough to understand what's going on around that circle. There's been people in his life that brought him to rehab and taken care of him and brought him to a place. And there was a moment in time where it looked like, DMX was doing all right. It looked like DMX was good, but when it comes to addiction, not even the closest people to you cannot know what you're going through. You're not gonna have someone surveillance a 50-year-old man 24/7. He can go off and do whatever he wants. It's DMX.
Mm-hmm.
People can be by his side, tell him what to do, tell him what's right, what's wrong, and he know that he's been, like we said, he's been to all the rehabs in the world. He's seen it all. But battling addiction is so difficult. It's so difficult, and that's demons. He's saying that's a monster, and those are demons that unfortunately he hasn't been able to combat, even with all the help that's there. So, it's tough. You don't want to blame the people around DMX,
definitely not doing that.
For causing this to happen. Drug addiction is wild, man.
Yeah, this is definitely tough. I see in the comments, my boy Scott in the comments. I've listened to DMX, I've heard him, but growing up, my boy Scott in the comments was the biggest DMX fan I knew. Like, that dude knew all the songs. My boy Scott had all the DMX songs ready to go. Shout out to my boy Scott in the comments. I see Derek in here with a very a comment similar to what you were saying. Drug addictions are no jokes and they're very hard to overcome. I don't want to sit here and say I'm blaming the people around DMX for letting this happen to him, because again, at the end of the day, it's a personal addiction that DMX is dealing with and personal demons that he's dealing with. It just came across my mind just thinking of who are the people around him trying to help him, because this has been something going on over and over and over again. But at the same time, understand that at the end of the day, it's a struggle internally that DMX has been and clearly still is dealing with, for sure.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks to see one of the greats of our generation being taken out like this, or I mean, we're hoping for the best, and hoping he can recover from this. But it hurts. It hurts to see this. I think once the news dropped, that you can collectively see that this one took a toll on people, because DMX is one. He's a real. We all know he's Rough Riders, Wolf, and all that. But if you listen to DMX and you watch his interviews, he's a gentle soul. He's a real gentle soul and a good person. And so we really just, here on Double M, and everyone in the comments. Of course, we want to wish DMX the best, hoping for the best, man. This has been since Saturday. We're recording here live on a Tuesday right now. I know they just did a prayer virgil for him yesterday, I believe. Hundreds and hundreds of people came, as you could expect. So the prayers are out there. We're just gonna be in sync, hopefully some good news that he's breathing and he's out of this state that he's in currently.
Yeah, absolutely. Want nothing but the best for DMX. I mean, last time I think the world really got to see him, at least I know, was when he did that Versus with
Snoop,
Snoop
right?
Dogg.
Yep.
And he looked like he was good, in good spirits. Guy was standing up, trying to rap all his songs, have energy. When he looked good.
Dude, that was like what? Maybe last year?
It was several months ago. I don't feel like it was super long ago. It was definitely 2020, but late 2020 for sure.
Damn.
But yeah, shout out to DMX. Prayers up for DMX, absolutely. And praying that he bounces back from this, comes back even stronger. And again, like I said, for the people around him, obviously you want the best help around him, but even for himself, things like this, a wake up call to try to be better for himself and his family and his fans, and just prayers up indeed for DMX.
Yeah, we got people in comments, giving out their favorite songs that DMX, and the list can go on. Imagine Y'all Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind came out when we were in college.
Oh, there would have been a lot of nights that went wild after you blasting that song on the speakers.
Like, that song still comes out in clubs and stuff like that, but that would have been like the one to start it off.
Absolutely.
I can just imagine us back at Bogart's. That song came out.
Mobbing with the fellas.
Woo!
Oh man, that's without a doubt. If that song dropped at that time, and like you said, that song could come on right now and still get somewhere rocking, and people know the words will go off, and it just gets you hyped. Shout out to DMX, man. Shout out to he's blessed us with some great hype music for sure. For sure. I see some more comments, and shout out to Ryan Mooney in the building.
We could switch gears.
We could definitely switch gears here. We'll continue to talk about DMX and stay updated with that situation, and just hope that he continues to improve. But let's switch gears here. Something that we definitely want to touch upon and talk about here is the fact that, yes, we all know COVID-19 is out there. And, after over a year and some change of the pandemic and COVID and, keeping a distance and all of that stuff that comes along with
living in the COVID 19.
We've finally reached a place where there are vaccines becoming available. And yeah, there are different vaccines out there, people talking about which kind of vaccine you're taking and whatnot. But the fact that there are vaccines out there is huge. And while the reports on the vaccinations, on how effective they are, and side effects, and conversations run rampant about it right now, but the fact that it remains that there are vaccines out there for this crazy sickness that we've been dealing with. And people have thoughts and feelings. You talk to some people, they've been ready to get the vaccine and get it right now, get it, whatever they got to do to get it. Then there's some people that are, I'm not putting that vaccine in my body, because they just don't want to put that stuff in their body. And then you got people who are just, I know there's a vaccine, and I'm willing to wait and see how it continues to progress and what more information and data comes out about it. But they know the vaccine's out there, so people have their different thoughts and feelings about it. But that doesn't take away from the fact that a COVID-19 vaccination is present.
Yeah, the vaccination is out there. It's been out for a little bit now. And we were having a conversation the other day about, vaccination. I just wanted to continue that here on the show. And personally speaking, the vaccination, we heard about the vaccination. First thing initially, I ain't taking no damn vaccination. You must be out your damn mind. I'm not taking no damn vaccination. They're not putting nothing in my body. You're talking to a guy who doesn't even take the flu shot. So that's my first thing. And then it starts to get a little warmer. You're like, I kind of want to be outside. I kind of want to do things. And then people start taking the vaccine, and no one's got 6 toes yet. No eyeballs coming out randomly. They look okay. They're feeling all right. I had my two parents. They took theirs, no hesitation. And God bless. They're okay. They're fine. And then the conversation is like, all right, maybe if we want to move on as a country, it may be that time to start taking serious thoughts on taking the vaccination. But then the conversation we were having is, eventually, people who don't take the vaccination, how is society going to look upon them?
Yeah, this conversation sparked up in a few different places now, when I definitely see the world moving towards a place where, you even listen to TV shows, and I think I was listening to the Red Sox game the other day, and the announcers on the Red Sox game were asking each other, "Did you get the vaccine? Did you get the vaccine?" And they're like, "Yeah, I got mine already." The other guy was like, "Well, yeah, I'm getting mine this weekend." And the guy who got his too, who's kind of leading the conversation, like, "Well done, fellas, well done." And I'm like, "Yo, what if one of them said, 'No, I'm not getting my vaccine yet'?" They might have, yeah. Baseball game might have stood like, "You not." So I say that to say, I feel like the world is moving to a place where if someone asks you if you got your vaccination, or have you got your vaccination, and your response is either "No, I haven't gotten it yet," or "No, I don't plan on getting it," the world is moving to a place where I feel as if you're going to be looked at in disgust, or people are going to look at you like, "Oh, you didn't get your vaccine, or you don't want to get your vaccine," and you're going to be like frowned upon or looked at a certain type of way because you don't have a vaccination. You're not getting your vaccination. I'm not saying that's where we are now, but I feel as if that's where the world is trending to. You hear, what's the other thing I heard the other day? Krispy Kreme donuts talking about, if you have your vaccination and you can present your card, we will give you a free donut.
Sure, Krispy Kreme donuts are great.
But in something like that, like, what other businesses are going to be like, "Yo, we'll serve you a free plate of food, or we'll let you do this for free, or we'll give you a discount on that if you have your vaccination. But if you don't have your vaccination, yeah, sorry, regular price for you. Yeah, sorry, no free donut for you." Like, that's the way I feel as if the world is trending towards.
Yeah.
If you're not vaccinated, people are going to look at you with a side eye like, "Oh, what are you doing? You don't have your vaccination." Again, that's not where I think the world is right now, the country is right now, but I can see that being how things are perceived, and what they possibly look like coming down the line.
Yeah, look at it in sports. So, like, right now, I'm hearing already in stadiums, all right, there's going to be a segment where people who are vaccinated can go into, and then people who aren't vaccinated, they're going to be in this segment. Eventually, it's going to be like, yeah, if you're not vaccinated, you just can't come into the stadium at all. Everyone who's vaccinated, show your vaccination card. You guys can come watch the game. I mean, it's not like that now, but as you're talking about trending, I can definitely see that trending where the world's like, hey, at a certain point, if you do not have your vaccination, we can't allow you to come to this event, or we can't allow you to come in here.
Can't let you fly on a plane or something.
Yeah, we can't let you travel due to the fact that you don't have your vaccination. It could get to that point. I don't know how long that would take, but I feel like we're April now. To think about April 2022, it's going to be a different world. It's going to be a different world where majority people, the consensus is going to be majority people are going to have their vaccination shots. I'm hearing that high schoolers by fall are going to be able to have their vaccinations. in the falls, and that then sooner or later little kids are going to be able to get them and moving forward. So it's going to be really interesting.
And then just to think about it, I know you're about to probably get to that comment. Just think about it. Families who have kids who probably not thinking about vaccination. You might get to a point where if you have kids in your family that's like, yo, we're not worried about the vaccination, school might tell you your child can't return to school unless they get vaccinated. That's how I feel it's trending. And I wouldn't be surprised if we reach that level where you can't enter this establishment, you can't fly on this plane, you can't attend school, you can't do something or go somewhere because you don't have a card to present that you're vaccinated. Even if it's not that card that everybody's taking their picture with, saying, "Oh, look, I got vaccinated." Excuse me. They might start scanning your driver's license or something. They might. I'm not gonna say they're about to put a chip into the back of your head or something, but like there might something done or created to find out if you have been vaccinated or not. I don't know what it is, but that could be what's coming down the line.
Enku says here, I think it's only because of the times. Feels like when the herd immunity starts to happen and things start to come back to normal, people won't look down too much. It's possible. If it's so, I don't know though, because this COVID is so, I don't know if unique is the right word, but there's so much question marks still around COVID that we don't know. And it's like, is COVID really going to just disappear, or is the herd immunity really gonna live up to it? I feel like with the vaccinations, they don't even know if it's gonna be something that you have to take yearly or bi-yearly. There's so much question marks with it, and that's an interesting take. I just, who knows? And it could be that, hey, if you don't take the vaccination, no, there won't be any restrictions, and me and Mike are just blowing smoke for no reason.
It's all about conversation.
It could be that as well. Ryan Mooney, you asked a question, but I need you to reiterate that for me. Are you asking us how we feel about how COVID started?
Yeah, Ryan Mooney, definitely elaborate on your comment before, but something that Sam just said and something that you just said, COVID-19 still has a lot of uncertainty, still have some things about it we don't necessarily understand. Same thing goes along with these vaccinations, and I hope my boy Dirk's still listening, because I feel like he had the numbers and the percentages of how accurate or how effective the different vaccinations are, because I don't have those numbers. I feel like my boy Dirk has them. Dirk, drop those please if you can. There's still uncertainty with the vaccinations. How effective are they? What do they actually do? One conversation that I've had with family members is, even at work, like, if I get this vaccination, what the hell do I still need to be tested for COVID for? Like, and it's a valid conversation. If you take a vaccination to kind of make you immune to this disease that's out there,
you got to get tested to make sure it's the first vaccination. You got to get tested to make sure that it works.
But that's a conversation that some people like, yo, don't stick that shit up my nose because I got vaccinated. Some people like, I'm not wearing a mask anymore because I'm vaccinated. We still in a phase right now of uncertainty of just, we don't know. We don't have an understanding.
Yeah, shout out to Tony. Long time no see.
Hey, Tony.
Tony says here, Northeastern universities will require vaccinations to attend classes in the fall, as they are planning to return full-time in-person education. There are private schools that can make that a requirement easier for public education.
There we go.
That's where I work at.
There we go.
So Tony said, I better get vaccinated soon.
I hear my man Dirk's coming through with some stats that he believes is true. If anybody knows any other stats, please drop them before. But Dirk says he believes that the first two that came out were 90% effective, and then the Johnson & Johnson one was 60%. And I believe the Johnson & Johnson one is just one shot and you're good. But then the other vaccination is two shots. You get one time, and you wait a couple weeks or whatever, and you get your second shot. But all in all, there's still some uncertainty.
there's a lot of uncertainty. There's gonna be a lot of pushback. You thought the Karens you thought the Karens were mad before with the mask and not getting into the supermarkets and causing all hell. Wait till if what we say is coming true happens. Oh my goodness, all hell's gonna break loose. It's gonna be real bad. So we're just gonna I just I'm not gonna tell people what to do. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But
Facts.
definitely stay educated. Don't try to be naive and think, oh, because you don't want something in your body and things like that. We need, especially people of color. I mean, obviously we have reasons to be paranoid and have paranoia when it comes to going to the doctors and what they put in our bodies. And I definitely understand that angle, but the other side is we also need to protect ourselves and do the proper research. So that's all I'm gonna say. Make sure you guys do the proper research as much as you can and educate yourselves before you go out spewing ridiculousness out there.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think at the end of the day, well, whether you're pro-vaccination, whether you're against the vaccination, putting anything in your body, or whether you're still on the fence of how you feel, I think at the end of the day, everybody, wants to live in a world where we could go back to the normalcy that we were living in before. We want to go back to a world where COVID is not an issue. You don't have to worry about, you know, breathing and coughing on we want to go back to a world where it's much safer. And I definitely want to go back to a world where if we could walk down the street and not wear a mask, that's a world I definitely want to see. I don't know when that's coming.
It's gonna be a minute.
That's a word I definitely want to. The feeling of like I was talking to my family about this the other day. You go places or you at work or something, and maybe someone's in their office or something. You got to go talk to that person. The feeling of seeing somebody tell you, "Oh, hold on 1 second before you come talk to me. I need to put my mask on." It's a weird. That's me personally. It's a weird feeling. Like
I'm used to it now.
I guess I'm used to it, but like if you want to go talk to somebody, you get close and they be like, "Oh, hold on 1 second. Or they start backing away from you so they can put their mask on. I understand we've been living like that for a while now, but it's still a very I'll just use the word sad. It's a sad thing to see, and it's a sad feeling. Like I get it. I wear my mask too. I put my mask on when necessary to put my mask on. But I think just as a society, it's sad to know that, don't come next to me. Let me put my mask on first. Or it's just something I think about sometimes. But I get it. I say that and I say it, but I get it at the same time. But yeah, continue. Like Mom said, don't be naive. Do your research, pay attention to what's going on, because at the end of the day, we all want to live in a world where we're not in fear necessarily of COVID-19.
If you are tuned in right now, thank you for tuning in, watching us live. This is the Double M Show. Mike Nice, DJ Mees. What you guys got to do right now, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. There's so much content here on Double M. It's not just only us two. We got a team now. Make sure you check out our sister program, Sundays with Sayonara and Key, every Sunday live. We got our brother, Soul Brother, bringing all the music content. And it's all with the help of our EP in the comments right now, Sam B, the EP. So much going on. Appreciate everybody for watching and tuning in. Keep tuning in. There's so much more great content. But Mike Nice, what else, man? What else is on the playlist?
So as we chugging along here, we remember bringing up a few weeks ago that the Derek Chauvin murder trial was taking place. As we all know well by now, Derek Chauvin was filmed murdering George Floyd in the street, knee in his neck, taking his breath away for 8 seconds, I believe.
He was on his knee for 8 minutes.
He's on his knee for 8 minutes. Sorry, not
8 minutes.
8 minutes. 8 minutes. Sorry, not 8 seconds. 8 minutes. Kneeing George Floyd in his neck as his life was sucked out of his body. It's caught on camera. Fast forward, Derek Chauvin is on trial right now, and I'll admit, me personally, I haven't been keeping up with the trial, and not because I don't care or I'm just like, oh yeah, whatever. I think part of me is just like, yo, I don't even know when the start date was of the trial, or I don't know if it's been a week or did it start this week or last. I don't really know, and at this point, I don't even care. I just feel as if this trial should not even take long in any way, shape, or form. Any type of deliberation with the jury, any type of conversations, the back and forth with the lawyers and cross-examination and evidence and this, F all of that. There's a video of the man kneeing George Floyd in the neck for 8 minutes in the street. George Floyd died as a result of that. Don't give me any other BS about he was on this or that. George Floyd was a living man before a knee was in his neck from Derek Chauvin. So me not following is not because I don't care. It's just the fact that I don't believe it shouldn't even be taken long to drop down the guilty verdict on that man. That's how I feel about it. And I know, Marv, I know for sure you definitely have some updates with what's been going on. So please, by all means, drop that. If you're in the comments and everything, listening right now, anything you heard, the way you feeling from what you've heard, please, by all means, share that 100%. Let's have a conversation about it and get updated.
Yeah, man. I've been following the case. It's been tough due to the fact that you see while watching, you just see the direction that it's going. The first day they started to bring in witnesses, and while bringing in the witnesses, one of their first defenses, when I'm saying they, I'm talking about Chauvin and his defense. One of their first defense was, okay, the angry mob, or the outsiders who was watching what's going on to COVID. They were an angry mob. They were delirious. They really weren't sure what was going on. And everyone that they brought in did an immaculate job and didn't fall for the traps of what the defense was trying to do. One person in particular, name was Donald Williams, and black man, I believe a former MMA wrestler, and he was there, and the defense was saying, hey, well, weren't you calling this officer names? Weren't you calling him a big ass blah, blah, blah? Weren't you swearing at him? It's like, yes. It's like, so wouldn't that make you angry? Wouldn't you say you were angry? The guy said, no, I wasn't angry. I was pleading for a man's life. And the way he combated it and just stayed to himself, it was a great thing to see that everyone in the defense, and it was pain, man, to see a 19-year-old girl come and relive her experience of how George Floyd died, and hearing all these people say how George Floyd was crying out for his mother, and it's painful. It's painful to see. And then when you go back, you just see how stoic Chauvin is, and he's got his mask on and everything, and just looks like there's no emotion. So that defense failed. Their strongest defense right now is that George Floyd was on drugs, and that's due to the drugs. That's how he passed away. He was clearly high when he did the counterfeit money, and boom, the drugs is what killed him. That's their strongest defense, and that's what they've been going on as. Fortunately, this is me giving quick updates. Fortunately, I don't know what's happened this week on Monday and Tuesday, but Friday, they examined the chief of police. And they showed him the video. He spoke on it, and they said, "Is this a proper way to restrain anyone?" Officer said there was no need for that. Once he had him handcuffed and on the floor, the neck was unnecessary. And that right there,
from the chief of police,
yes, that right there should be it. I say should because this is America, so we know how it goes. But that right there should be the nail in the coffin. I mean, we all know what happened. We all understand how this case should go, but we all understand how Most cases than not, it's never been in the favor of a black man or a black woman when it comes to police brutality. So that's the update on the case. Mike, it's sad. It's sad. Just hearing these stories, these testimonies, and everything. It's been really sad. But I've been talking with my students and things. That's something that because of how big George Floyd case was, murder was. It's very important to just see how this unfolds.
Absolutely. And living a long time, we know how by now what this judicial system in this country has looked like. And one of the first things I tweeted out was because you would think, knowing the story and the situation and all the information that's come out about it, you would think this is a simple foregone conclusion. Sure, you can have a trial. Everybody stands trial. This is what's supposed to happen. I get that. But it shouldn't, like I said before, it shouldn't last long. There shouldn't be much deliberation to take place on what the verdict should be. But again, the judicial system in this country has shown some interesting ways over the years. But the trial is ongoing. Hopefully, justice is served the right way. And that's all we can leave it as, because at the end of the day, it's in the hands of the judicial system. And hopefully you want to believe that justice will prevail. But
justice has never been
we've seen otherwise over the years. So I appreciate the update, Marv. Obviously being on social media, I'll get little updates here and there for sure. But I'm just so set in the fact that this should be over. Started with last week. I don't know what else needs to happen. The defense, the prosecution, whatever else needs to happen, don't really matter. Like, the verdict should be clear cut. So appreciate the updates, and we'll continue to monitor it here on Double M for sure, and see how it goes.
Hot takes, bro. Come on, let's get to it.
Woo! Let's switch gears. A couple serious and whatnot topics we started off here, Double M, but it's time to switch gears. And if you've seen my tweets, my Facebook posts, my IG posts, different things I've posted, I got a bold statement I'm ready to make. And I've had this conversation with Marv. I've had this conversation with my dad, my brother, a few people that I've talked to about the Boston Celtics. And before I make this bold statement, let me make this clear. I'm a Boston Celtics fan. I've been a Boston Celtics fan for many, many years. My father's a Celtics fan. Then it went down to my brother, my older brother, Celtics fan. Went to me.
About to give a history.
Went to me. I'm a Celtics fan. I rock with the Celtics. I rock with all Boston sports, through and through. But one thing, my dad has taught me over the years. Shout out to my dad. His birthday was on Monday. Shout out to my dad for sure. One thing my father's taught me over the years when it comes to sports, and even if you have a favorite team, call it down the middle. Don't really try to be biased in how you see things just because that's your team. You love the sport, you love the team, but you love the sport. Call it down the middle. So I'm gonna call it down the middle and be bold with this statement here about the Celtics. The way the season has unfolded has been a disappointment. I think everybody knows that, whether you're a Celtics fan or whether you're not a Celtics fan. I think we can all agree that going from being a game or two away from the Eastern Conference Finals in the previous season, and now you struggling to get into the playoff hunt. I think last I saw, there may be the 8th or 7th seed, somewhere down there. Like, they're a game away from being completely out of it, in the game two. Like, it's bad right now. It hasn't been a good season for this team, and the debate is going back and forth. Should Danny Ainge get the blame? Should the players get the blame? Should Brad Stevens get the blame? The blame. Who should be blamed for this sad season? Here's what I want to say about the Celtics. I would be satisfied, and I think a loud message would be sent very clearly to Danny Ainge, the front office, the owners. A very loud message would be sent clearly to all of them if the Celtics don't make the playoffs. I do not want the Boston Celtics to make the playoffs.
Which one is it? I'd be satisfied they don't make the playoffs.
I do
them.
not want the Boston Celtics to make the playoffs. And I get it. People want to see their team fight. And, you want to see your team
definitely bold.
Battle in. I want to see my team get. Celtics aren't winning the championship. And they should have been in a position coming into this season where they should have been battling for a championship, knowing how their previous seasons have been, making the Eastern Conference Finals over and over again, coming to a game within a couple games of the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and how the season has played out. They're not winning the championship. Tatum and Brown, I love to watch them play. Solid players, sure, that can improve in different areas, but overall, the team is not built the right way to win a championship. I don't see them getting past Milwaukee. I don't see them getting past Philly. I don't see them getting past Brooklyn. And I don't see them getting past Miami again. So with that being said, knowing that this season is already looking like it's not going to take you anywhere, and the fact that we know Brad Stevens most likely is not going anywhere, Danny Ainge is not going anywhere, that little get to the second round and battle and Jason Tatum and Brown have big games, cool, it's to watch. It's extra basketball if you're a fan, but I don't think the message would get through loudly enough if this team just completely misses the playoffs. I think that's when Danny Ainge and the front office and the owners and all of them would get it like, yo, we have failed on trying to put together a championship team. And we took several steps back trying to get to that level in this current season. So I don't want to see any little hopeful playoff run in the first or second round, maybe get to the semifinals. I don't want to see that because I don't feel like they're even going to win it all. So with that being said, the season's a wash. You missed the playoffs. Give a kick in Danny Ainge's ass on how to build a better basketball team moving forward because you have your two young stars. And I don't care what nobody says. You've said this before. It's never been seen before. Two young stars as wings coming up together on the same team. It's never been done before. And by all accounts,
It's happening.
It's happening. And Tatum and Brown don't seem like they're really clashing heads or anything like that. It's all about putting a better team around those two young all-stars. So my bold statement, I don't want to see them in the playoffs. Let's try again next year. And hopefully missing the playoffs will give Danny Ainge the proper kick up his ass that he needs.
Yeah, that was the most ridiculous statement. I heard you say it before.
I'm with it.
And it was ridiculous then. It's ridiculous now.
Hey, man.
Listen. Just because your team is not going to win a championship doesn't mean that going out in the playoffs is going to be a solution. One, we're in the Eastern Conference Final. Yeah, the Celtics are sorry. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to have to be really sorry for this team not to be in the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs. Two, Danny Ainge, it doesn't matter if they miss the playoffs, they go into the playoff. The fire has been lit. Everyone knows how this season has unfolded. It doesn't take the Celtics missing the playoffs for anything. I don't see a difference happening in the offseason, whether the Celtics get bounced in the first round or the Celtics don't miss the playoffs. I don't think anything shifts. Like, oh my God, now we missed the playoff. Now we got to do something. No, the message has been sent all year how this team has unfolded, and it hasn't been great. The team hasn't been good. They brought in Evan Fournier, what up? But the team, they know they failed. They have known that this has been a failure of a season. The fire should have been lit last year.
Sure should have.
All last year, all I kept saying is, you got the Nets coming. Now, I didn't know the Nets were going to buy everybody. I didn't see that coming. I kept saying, like, on the show, I'm like, this season, you got to win now because next year, you got the Nets coming. The teams are going to be better. Teams are going to be better. And as you've seen, teams gotten better and Celtics have gotten worse, trended downwards. However, the experience of playoff basketball is still, and that's my major point. The experience of playoff basketball is still huge. It's still huge. Tatum and Brown are still young. Yeah, they have probably the most experience out of a 23, 24-year-old when it comes to playoff basketball than anybody. But these are two young superstars. How do we get over the hump? You want to put them in these type of situations where I saw Allen Iverson do with a sorry ass team. How do you become a leader where you take your team and on will say, I'm gonna drop 40 tonight and try to win this game? You put your team in these type of situations. Do they have a great team? No. But I want to give Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum the opportunity to become that next superstar in this league. And playoffs is the only way to do it. Put them in the playoffs, put them in the fire. If they lose, they lose. Obviously, we're blaming it on Danny. We're blaming it on the coaching of Brad Stevens. The players in total, they have to pick it up as well, because there's some games that they've lost that they should have never lost. We're talking about Sunday matinees to the Knicks and stuff that should have never happened. They've lost some bad games that's been on them, and there hasn't been on Danny and Brad Stevens. So put them into the fire. Let them build. You have two superstars here. This is the perfect opportunity for them to be put in the fire and grow. This is how superstars are made.
Hey, man, I hear everything you're saying. I get it. And by all accounts, I want to see Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown continue to battle and grow. And, who wouldn't want to see a wild playoff performance and they continue to be in some clutch, down to the wire game 5s and game 7. I get all of that. And, they've been doing it the last couple of years. Absolutely. I just think
this is the first time they're doing it as their team.
You're right. Yes, I hear that. I just think the overall fact that this team took such a huge step back this season,
you're hurt,
really bothers me.
You're hurt.
And
you're hurt.
I'm hurt. And I think yes, after a while, Danny Ainge, some of the comments that he had started making was, well, yeah, this team hasn't performed how I want him to perform. I think as the season progressed and he realized that the dumbass team that he thought was assembled at the beginning of the year actually sucked. Yeah, he finally starting to realize. And I think in some way, shape, or form, Danny Ainge still somewhat believes that Grant Williams and Semi Ojeleye and Taco Fall and Ed Carson, in other words, and Tremont William Waters add something to the team. Danny Ainge, I still feels like wants to hold on to them guys because he feels like they're solid pieces. I don't fully think Danny Ainge is really understands like, okay, I really effed up. I personally don't think he really gets it yet. And everything you said, I completely hear it. But as a Celtics fan, I feel everything you just said. I've experienced all that great. At the same time, I've had it up to here with Danny. I've had it. And just something really needs to jar his mind and his head and his thought process on what he can do to get this team to a championship level. And maybe I'm being extra dramatic about the whole mess. I don't know, maybe, but something really needs to. You said a fire has been lit. It's sparked up over the course of the season, but something really needs to hit home to this general manager and the people around him. Like, we really screwed up putting this team together after being a game away from the finals, knowing what you just said about teams getting better this next season, this current season that we're in. They really took too many steps back.
And I just don't think missing the playoffs not good. You know what missing the playoffs does? Doesn't make Tatum look good at all. Does it? I think Tatum and Brown get looked differently if the Celtics don't make the play. You have two superstars, you're making the playoffs. Tatum and Brown, you're gonna hear the talks now. It's like, these guys couldn't make it to the playoffs with this team in the Eastern Conference Finals. You guys want to put Tatum at this stature? He couldn't bring this team. It does more harm to Tatum and Brown than it will ever do to Danny Ainge.
You say that, and at the same time, I come back and saying I think the consensus is people understand that the team around, yes, Tatum and Brown got other guys, but the team around them is terrible. And yes, we've seen in the history of
it's not that terrible.
Allen Iverson and LeBron James bring bad teams deep into the playoffs to the finals. Tatum and Brown, their trajectory is there. Are they on the same level? Allen Iverson, LeBron James?
Team's not that.
I don't have them that bad.
None of us came in preseason and said Celtics are going to be a 7th or 8th seed.
I also didn't come into the season thinking that the team that just battled the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, I saw that the team was worse coming out of the.
Did you think you'd be having a take where saying I want them to be out the playoffs? Like this roster is bad, but it's not. It's not that bad.
It was the roster was nothing. The roster was a championship. It wasn't a championship contender coming out of the offseason. And now they already weren't a championship contender, but now they're even several steps worse than that.
Right, but I'm saying what I'm saying is this roster, Tatum and Brown should bring them to the playoffs. And if they don't, Tatum and Brown are in the front as they should too. I'm saying they should be the ones getting blamed. If you can't carry this team to the playoffs,
you know, for Tatum and Brown,
nationally too,
they would get the blame.
We know
they would get the blame, yes. But when I look at it, I'm like Tatum and Brown as young guys trying to find their way in the league, because even to this day, they'll take a lot of hate on or criticism on, well, they're still young. They haven't necessarily learned how to do this, or better facilitators, or are they really leaders or whatnot. They're still taking that criticism now. And I would think that people who really see and understand basketball and see the Celtics team would say, like, all right, these two young guys, they're making their way. They're 23, 24 years old. Who the hell do you have around them? That's just how I see it. And that's my, again, these are all my personal thoughts and feelings. I hear what you're saying, and I'm not disregarding anything you're saying at all. This is just how I feel and how I've examined this 2020-21. It's just been nothing but a disappointment. And, you know, never say never. Oh, can this team get to the finals? Like, possibly, I don't know. But I think overall the feeling is this is not a championship caliber team. And I put it, whether you want to say Brad is a type of way he's coaching or what Tatum and Brown is capable to do, at the end of the day, I think the major blame goes on the general manager, Danny Ainge, and what he created with this team.
Absolutely. I mean, it starts with Danny. It definitely starts with Danny. And I just want to stick to the point that the fire has been lit. The fire you want is there. One, we know Danny's not going nowhere.
He's not going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere.
Brad's not going anywhere.
He's like they're staying there. So whether they make a push or not, they know that this has been a sorry ass season. They know. They're not going to come out and completely say all of that. They're going to try to give confidence to their team, but they know this has been a fail. Danny gets asked every single week now about this roster. He knows. They're not stupid. They understand that this was a fail. I just think missing the playoffs will do more harm than good to this team.
It's a perfect way to wrap it up, right? Oh, you could ask Peter's question. I see Peter's question too.
So do y'all think it's the players or the coach?
I've heard the screams for, okay, Brad needs to go. Well, I do think, I think Brad is the type of coach where he's not that rah type of guy. And sometimes you need a rah type of guy sometimes to motivate your players. Some players really like that. At the same time, I really think players take a little thought and consideration to the fact sometimes of having former players be their coach. Maybe not a head coach, but having former players as assistant coaches, I think all of that is huge. You look at the coaches that the Celtics have. Brad Stevens never played in the league. That dude to the left is always clapping his hand and say, all right, guys, come on. He never played in the league. Only coach on their staff that I feel is a former player in the NBA is Evan Turner, and this is only his first year coaching. And I think some of that, in my opinion, plays a part into the type of coaching that the Celtics have. If you have a coach who can talk to the team about situations and understands what it's like to be in a league and different situations in a game, I think that connects a little bit more. Is that saying that Brad Stevens is a bad coach? No, not at all. But I think the connection is a little bit different.
Yeah, Brad Stevens is a good coach. I mean, even if you asked me last year, I'm not even on the Brad could go this year. So you asked me the last year or the year before, the Kyrie year. Cool. I was on Brad. Think Brad lost some sauce with this team. He's lost some sauce. You can watch some games and you can totally feel like there's no way in hell the Brad Stevens we watched for the 7 years drew up this play. There's just no way. You see them. Brad Stevens teams are one of the best, feistiest teams on defense. You see these dudes sometimes they're lackadaisical on defense, don't care. Body language is bad with this team. That's what pisses me off the most. Seeing their body language, like there's been times they have tuned Brad out. And most times, 9 times out of 10 in the NBA, when you tune a coach out, the coach is done. He's out of here. Celtics are trying to create some type of mafia system like the Miami Heat, where they're just gonna keep everybody forever. And so Brad Stevens not going. Brad Stevens not going
Thanks, Danny.
anywhere. And another thing with that is, you get rid of Brad Stevens. I always ask people this when Brad's got to go. You get rid of Brad Stevens. Who the hell do you want here? Who you gonna bring that's better than Brad?
Yeah,
there's no. I don't see anyone out there who's like, you tell me Mark Jackson's gonna come in and be better than Brad Stevens. Like, they look like they're the same playing field to me. Like, who can you bring here that's gonna switch things up here, that wants to come to Boston? I don't know, man. So it's looking like we're sticking with those guys for a while. Brad Stevens, in my opinion, he's definitely lost some sauce with the team.
I see Sam's comment here, which is a great way to segue out of this segment before we move on to our final segment. But yeah, Brooklyn Nets, like Marv said, they pretty much bought everybody on top of already having Durant and signing Kyrie and Durant. You go get Harden, you get Blake Griffin, you get LaMarcus Aldridge. Like, you put together a very solid team. I personally am a Kevin Durant fan, and I kind of root for Brooklyn. I have no issue with Brooklyn at all. People say, they're trying to buy a championship, this and that. Whatever you want to look, this is the way the NBA works. People's going to jump on one team that they feel is good, either Lakers or Brooklyn, and the players are going to jump on this team and try to get to a championship when they get bought out, or if they're an older guy who's been in the league. That's what happens in this new NBA. I'm a Durant fan. I like the Brooklyn Nets. If they win the championship, you will hear no kind of issue from me at all.
No, man, let's get to it. Let's go. Well, Nets doing too much for me. They didn't need all that, but it's cool. Let's move on to the good stuff, man.
All right.
Thank y'all for who's still with us. We about to wrap it up here with the best segment.
So the return of the stars and sorries of the week. Like Marv said in the beginning of the show, if you've been rocking with us for a long time, this is one of our favorite fun segments. It's all about the stars and the sorries of the week. And if you are a star of the week, Double M, we're going to give you your praise, your admiration, your flowers if need be. We're going to hype you up because you are a star of the week and you deserve that. But if you're a sorry, sorry is the equivalent. Maybe you got a nice white shirt on. You maybe spill some sauce on your shirt and some tomato sauce, something like that.
Yeah.
You know what we tell you if you do that? Sorry. Maybe you just got some new shoes.
Some
new shoes. You walking on the street and somebody takes a nice big dirty ass step right onto the front of your shoes and leaves a nice, well, not a nice, but a bad dirt stain on it. You know what we look and say to you? Sorry. So, woo! Welcome to the stars and sorries.
I'll start it off,
of
man.
The week. I'll
start it off. Star of the week, Double M star of the week from me is he's back. Isaiah Thomas. I'm giving Isaiah Thomas the star of the week, man. This guy has been grinding, pleading, asking for a chance in the NBA. Slow grind. And man, Isaiah's been through a lot. The way Boston shipped him out will never be right. I say this all the time, man. Mike went down his history of being a Celtics fan. I've been a Celtics fan since I can remember. That 2016-17 season was my favorite season, outside the championship, of course. Was my favorite season. To see, it was one of the most dominant it must have been like how it felt like to watch Allen Iverson with the 76ers. This one dude with a sucky ass team taking over, game after at a point you're like, is this really happening? Like, can he really do this every night? And he was doing it every single night. The heart he played with. Isaiah Thomas will forever be one of Boston's favorites. He got a 10-day contract with the New Orleans Pelicans. You know, I'm wishing him the best. Hopefully it could be a long term. He's wearing number 24 for Kobe. Isaiah Thomas, welcome back to the league, man. You deserve it.
Shout out to IT24 now. IT24, because he's wearing number 24 to Pelicans. Yep. IT. Start of the week, slow grind. Keep it going, IT. Hopefully some great success.
And if you're in the comments as well, we haven't done this in a while, but if you're in the comments as well, put the list of all your stars and sorries of the week.
That's right. Whoever you got as a star, whoever you got as a sorry,
we'll read them out at the end of the segment.
Drop them in there.
Sorries, I'm doing an audible, Mike, because you reminded me of something that deserves a bigger sorry.
That's what's when we live. You can do whatever you want.
I pulled an audible. See, the original sorry was going to be DC fans, because I was going to talk about how, you know, we're not going to get the true Justice League 3 series and Zack Snyder's vision to do. So that's a sorry. But I got a bigger sorry to you, and it goes to your boy. It goes to two people, Michael Rappaport and Kevin Durant.
Oh boy.
Durant out here.
Oh boy.
Durant, we know he's sensitive. We know he makes burner accounts. But man, oh man, you know, we all remember the interview that he did with NBA inside the NBA where he was being weird with Chuck, and then Michael Rappaport said something. Then KD started firing off on homeboy. Y'all seen it? I don't gotta go down the list. Y'all seen the words he was saying, the language he was using. And it's like, bro, one, is it that serious, fam? Is it really that serious that you're gonna talk about another man's wife? Is it really that serious that you say you're gonna spit on? Like this dude, where Katie from Washington, like DMV, like why wouldn't you? I'm gonna F you up when I see you. You gonna get these hands. My man said I'm gonna spit on you. Well, right there, fam.
Michael Rappaport smacked the hell out of you talking about spit on. Don't spit on nobody.
Right there. I lost respect. I lost respect for you. You really out here thumb thugging and say you're gonna spit on someone? Like, fam, bro, you 6'11". Say you're gonna beat him up. Step on him. Something. Like, why is spit the word you want to use? And then some of the things he was saying, it's just, as a grown-ass man, you texted me some of the stuff KD texted me, I would have said pause. Pause, bro. Like, what's good with you? Pause. What? Hey, yo. Like, why are you texting me this, man?
You that mad?
You so mad you going to another area, my guy. And then Michael Rappaport, you family show. It's family show.
His words to describe Michael Rappaport. I get it.
Yeah, you're a scum. To release those DMs and then come out and be like, I didn't think it'd get this big. Bro, what? KD's the number 2, number 3, number 1 basketball player in people's minds, and you didn't think it's gonna get as big as it did? So Michael Rappaport, I'm sorry, guy. You should have, with your circle friends, cried to them, show them the DMs, but to release this, yeah, family show. So I ain't gonna say the words I want to say about who you are. But on this show, Mike Nice, we're giving both of those guys a big fat old sorry.
Yeah, I'm a KD fan, but that whole conversation back and forth, whatever it was. KD's a great basketball player. It's a great basketball player. I love watching him play the game of basketball, and I'm gonna leave it there. I see some stars and sorries coming in.
Ooh, we got some good ones.
Start at the top here. I think Devard wants to give a sorry to Lil Nas X.
Yeah, what's good? What's good with Lil Nas X?
Yeah,
we're gonna have to circle back to Lil Nas X. What's good? What's going on here?
Yeah, a lot of confusion, but I understand why Devard wants to give him a sorry. But Lil Nas X from Devard, sorry.
Keep it going. Some stars. Oh, Drew got paid.
Here comes the money.
Drew got paid.
Here we go. Here
Yes.
comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Sorry goes to the Gonzaga Bulldogs from Hull. Hey man, the Baylor came out firing from the beginning with that 9-0 start, and then
Yeah. Sorry, Gonzaga.
and then with the Stars, Enkel brings up Baylor, of course. Sorry is yeah, it's not looking pretty for Deshaun Watson. Another thing we got to get to as well on this show.
Yeah,
We've been having so many guests. We haven't been getting to all the hot topics, but we got to talk to Deshaun Watson.
As more information with Deshaun Watson comes up to, is definitely going to make the conversation great when we get to that for sure.
And Jay, before we click to you, I hand it off to Mike Nice.
So Marv had his stars and stars of the week. Let me get to mine. Star of the week, a guy that, if you know me well, I used to have a lot of hatred for him. But over the years, my hatred has kind of subsided. I still dislike what he did to the Boston Celtics fans. But, this guy, Kyrie Irving, basketball-wise, great player to watch. Some of the things he says sometimes can be wild and crazy, but he's a genuinely, I don't know the man personally, but some of the ways he comes off, and you've seen kind of like the donations and things he's done and set up different organizations and different things he's done, like a genuinely nice, caring guy. And recently, I think after a game, after practice or whatnot, he spotted some kids, trying to sell chocolate. The kids trying to sell chocolate, get money for his family or whatnot. And if you see the video, this dude, Kyrie, went up to that kid and handed him a stack of money.
So give that to your family.
And give it to your family, young blood. Take this back to your family. And I think later on, another kid was crying, hoping and begging to see Kyrie. And Kyrie, I guess spotted him and came off the bus or whatnot and greeted him. Kyrie just doing little things for the fan, doing little things for the kids. Shout out to a good guy. Depending on how you feel about Kyrie and some of the things he does, especially if you're a Boston fan, I know some people still feel a certain type of way towards him. I did for a while, but I love watching him play basketball. That will never change. And he's done a couple things, especially in 2020 when a lot of social justice things were going on. Like Kyrie's been a huge voice in a lot of different things. So I definitely want to give Kyrie Irving a star of the week.
Well-deserved star.
Sorry of the week. So the IG Live, everybody for the most part has seen it right now. Celtics legend Paul Pierce had an IG Live, and he was living it up. Clearly, he was somewhere playing, gambling or playing poker or whatever. But in the back, he got girls dancing and shaking ass around him. He's taking shots, telling some girl Monica to come through.
Monica, you should be
here. You in LA? We in LA.
You should be here, Monica.
Clearly, and I think he's smoking too. He's drinking. Got girls. Like, IG Live was wild. And I mean, to most people, we probably laugh. Paul Pierce is wild. He have his time in his life. He's living up. ESPN didn't really feel like it was the type of person they have employed with them that they want to have presenting themselves to the public. And that IG Live happens sometime over the course of the weekend, I want to say.
Yeah.
I believe today, as we're recording on Tuesday, ESPN told Paul Pierce, hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back. And I mean, it's just wild. And I think you were saying, is a firing him, was that necessarily the way to go?
My opinion, I don't think he should.
Maybe he should have just been suspended. Who knows how ESPN felt? Maybe they felt that IG Live was too much from Paul Pierce, someone who was employed by them. Maybe they felt like, look, Paul Pierce wasn't really adding much to our show anyway. We could replace him with some other former player and do just fine. Who knows how ESPN felt? But they gave Paul Pierce the axe. And yeah, Paul Pierce, you was just having fun on your IG Live, having a good time interacting with people. But at the end of the day, it cost you your job at the worldwide leader in sports.
Yeah.
So for that, Paul Pierce, Double M Live has to give you a big fat old sorry. But at the same time, who knows what kind of other opportunities.
He seems like he's fine.
He said he's fine.
He's chilling,
said he's
laughing, smiling, saying big things are on the way. Hey, now he can be a little more free. He's not, under any restrictions of Disney and ESPN. I don't think he should have got fired. I mean, a suspension. The women weren't naked. It wasn't any really crazy.
Yeah, I don't think he was doing anything like illegal.
Nothing illegal was going on. So from what we've seen, but maybe ESPN felt like my mother. Sure, I showed my mom the video. Oh, Pierce. My Pierce, why would Pierce ever do that? Why would he do that?
I know some people are not used to seeing Paul Pierce in that light. People like, yo, ain't he married with kids? Like, what does his wife think of this? I don't know his marriage. I don't know any of that. But it was definitely a little bit different of the Paul Pierce a lot of people are used to seeing. But hey, if anything, Paul Pierce, make your way to Boston. Come be a guest on Double M Live. Come do that. Come on, Danny Ainge, your boy Paul Pierce is free right now. See if you want to work in the front office, assistant coach, assistant GM. I don't know what. Give him a job. I'd like to see something like that happen for sure. But yeah, Paul Pierce, you still our guy here.
Oh, forever.
You still our guy. 34 on the Raptors, 34 on our hearts. You still our guy for sure. Paul Pierce.
PP for sure, man. This is Double M. Stars and Sorries. It felt good. Back. It felt good to get that sorry off my chest.
It's been a while, but Stars and Sorries is back for sure. You guys know that segment we always want to hear from you. And throughout the course of the whole show, everybody tune in. We love hearing from you. You guys are what makes the show go here on Double M. Make sure you continue to like, subscribe,
share it out.
Share it out.
Let your friends know. Let a friend, tell another friend. Double M is here to stay. Any last things before we get out of here?
Keep checking out other shows, rocking with the other shows on Double M. Sundays with Sayonara and Key. Josh's, Soul Brothers Groove show. Double M. We to the moon. We are to the moon, and definitely keep rocking with us.
We appreciate you guys. Be safe, and we'll see you guys again next Tuesday. We out.